Hello and welcome inside Millett Hall for tonight's men's basketball action here on RedHawk Radio. My name is Andrew Relvas. Appreciate you for tuning in into our pregame coverage between the Miami RedHawks and the Northern Illinois Huskies in the penultimate home game of the 2024-25 season. How did we get here between these two teams? Well, number one, the all-time series, the RedHawks are leading NIU 36-21 all-time. Last matchup, of course, January 14th of this year in the NIU Convocation Center over winter break in DeKalb, Illinois. It was a 15-point road victory for the RedHawks, 84-69 there. The last matchup, of course, in Oxford on February 6th of 2024 last year, and a tough loss, 59-62 in a game that was back and forth, but eventually NIU able to steal a road victory and trying to do that again for the second time in 2 years. Overall, Miami 7-3 in its last 10 versus NIU and 3-2 in its last 5 at home versus the NIU Huskies. In terms of KenPom, Miami is ranked 171 in the country, third of 12 in the MAC, with an offensive rating of 108.6, which is 152nd. Defensive rating 109.2, 210th in the country. Meanwhile, for NIU, ranked 346th in the nation, 11th of 12th in the MAC. Only Buffalo behind them in terms of KenPom, but NIU dead last in the MAC standings. Their net rating is negative 17.8, an offensive rating of 95.8, 348th in the country, and their defensive rating a little bit better at 113.6, 299th in the country. How did we get here for the RedHawks? Well, they come into tonight with a record of 20-7, 11-3 in the Mid-American Conference, which is second best, and they won their most recent game, an absolute classic on Friday night, a 96-92 victory at home versus the Kent State Golden Flashes on national TV on CBS Sports Network. Here last weekend in that game, 4 players were in double figures, nearly hit the 100-point mark, 51% shooting from the floor, 50% from deep, and 83% from the free throw line. Miami made 14 three-pointers, 14 for 28, and they shot 24 out of 29 in terms of free throws. Peter Suter led the scoring with 22 points. Ian Elmer right there, 17 points for him. He made 5 three-pointers himself. Brent Byers put up a respectable 12 points and 3 rebounds. Defensively, Miami allowed Kent State to shoot 53% from the floor, 50% from deep, 7 for 14, and 21 out of 27 free throws the Golden Flashes made. 4 Golden Flashes were also into double figures, and Miami got pretty much dominated on the board. They gave up 39 rebounds. They got out-rebounded 39-22. This Miami team returning a lot of talent from last year, of course. Ian Elmer, Evan Ipsaro, Makai Cooper, and Reese Potter. Those are the big 4 returning back this year. Lost some players to graduation, but they picked up 3 big ones. Peter Suter, the Bellarmine transfer, Cam Kraft, the Xavier transfer, and Antoine Woolfolk, the Rutgers Scarlet Knight transfer. All 3 of them have played pivotal roles here for the RedHawks this year. We'll turn things over to the NIU Huskies. How did we get here? Well, they come into tonight with a record of 5-22, 1-13 in the MAC, which is dead last, and on an 8-game losing streak. The sky is falling at DeKalb, and they're trying to find some answers as the season is coming to a close soon. This team has had 4 straight losing seasons. They last made the MAC tournament 2 years ago in 2022-23, and they were picked to finish 11th of 12th in the MAC preseason poll. 4th-year head coach Rashawn Burno leading the charge here for the NIU Huskies, trying to turn this ship around as we get closer and closer to the conclusion of this season. Their most recent game, a buzzer-beater loss at the hands of the Eastern Michigan Eagles at home, a 76-79 loss to EMU, the NIU Convocation Center in DeKalb. Couple days ago last weekend. That buzzer beater, of course, from Jalen Terry, a player that the RedHawks saw plenty of in their most recent loss to Eastern Michigan a couple of days ago. 3 players were in double figures for the Huskies, 46% shooting from the floor, 56% from deep, and 65% from the free throw line. They made 15 three-pointers just like the RedHawks, so that'll be an interesting stat line to keep an eye on. Hopefully the RedHawks can play a little bit better defense and limit those numbers. And they shot 11 for 17 from the free throw line. The top three scorers, Quentin Jones, 20 points for him. James Dent Jr., 19 points respectively. And Svet Satorov with 17 points, a rebound, and a block. Defensively, they stifled the Eastern Michigan Eagles, 42% from the floor, 41% from deep, 9 for 22, and 28 out of 36 free throws the Eagles made. 3 of them were in double figures. Eastern Michigan also slightly out-rebounded NIU 35-31 in that contest. This Eastern Michigan team, or excuse me, this NIU team, of course, returning a few solid players in Kareen McPherson, Nasir Muhammad, and Ethan Butler. All 3 of those players playing pretty big roles last year. Obviously, it's expanded this year with the losses. They had 10 players transferring out, including the top 6 scorers last year, all leaving for the respective schools. Of course, David Coit, he's at Kansas now, number 1 scorer. Zarik Nutter, the number 2 scorer at Georgia State now. Xavier Amos at Wisconsin, the number 3 scorer. Philmon Gabrit of graduation. Yannick Conan Niederhauser, the Penn State transfer, and Will Lovings-Watts, the James Madison transfer. So they lost their top 6 scorers, but in their place comes Quentin Jones, the Cal Poly Mustangs transfer, who is the number 1 scorer in the MAC, scoring about 17 points per game. James Dent Jr., another guy to look out for. So a pretty good 3-point shooter. Gotta keep an eye on him. Western Illinois Leathernecks transfer, and a couple others here and there, but it's really Quentin Jones and James Dent Jr. doing the show offensively for the Huskies. And with that, we will take a break, be back in a little bit for the presentation of this one. It's Red Hawk Radio Men's Basketball. We'll be back in a little bit. My name is Andrew Relvas, and stay with us here on Red Hawk Radio.